Yep, we finished up scrimmage Saturday, and players had Sunday and Monday off, and it's a big recovery time for us. We kind of finished what we consider to be training camp on Saturday afternoon, and we are still working on us and focusing on us on getting better. We're going to work on opponents for a couple days before we dive into Clemson later this week.
Yeah, Coach, real simple. What'd you learn about your football team this fall camp?
Yeah, that we've got good mental toughness. We're in a good spot in terms of physicality. They grinded. We're not where we need to be by any means, but we have made progress. I mean, scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2 progress was good. I saw things that I needed to see in terms of tackling, playing better without the coaches on the field, all the things you look for in young players to see them grow. You know, there's a small body of guys that have played a lot of football here that I know can go out there and execute. Then there's a larger body of new players that have to prove that. And I thought we had more guys execute without the coaches on the field Saturday and push through the heat, which is mentally tough. That you have to be able to get through that to grow and get better. And I'm pleased with where we are coming out of camp.
Kirby, is there any injury updates that you can provide us with?
Who? Like, what's your question on?
Robinson, running back, Brinson status.
Which Robinson?
Roderick.
Yeah, Roderick's dealing with a little bit of a turf toe, and don't know when he's going to become or be available. But we had a good group of backs really do good things Saturday. Who else you asked about?
Warren Brinson.
Yeah, Warren's been working his way back. He's hitting, I think, around 75-85% on his GPS. He has improved each and every day. He's been dealing with a little bit of Achilles, but that was coming into camp. It was something we were aware of, and actually today he's supposed to get back and do a lot more work with us.
Coach, what have you seen from the 3 transfer receivers, Colby, London, and Michael so far in camp?
Colby's been dealing with a hamstring some, so he hasn't been 100%. London had a big jump from scrimmage 1 to scrimmage 2. And Michael Jackson is a guy that's been really reliable for us, hard worker, competitor, continues to improve and get better, and I'm pleased with all 3 of those guys.
Kirby, how many cornerbacks do you think can play winning football? I guess that's the term you guys use, and is Ellis Robinson in that group?
Well, we've got probably 5 to 6 guys operating and repping there, and you know, we've got some guys that work at both, go inside and outside, and so Chris Field's a guy that we've used at safety and at corner. Dalen plays some star and corner. Julio Daniel, Ellis, DeMello, all have grown, gotten better. Andre Evans is continuing to grow and get better, and all those guys, they work really hard, and really pleased with the camp that all really 6 of those guys have had.
Yeah, I know Jerry's been dealing with a little bit of an Achilles injury, and you've moved Tate over to center. How has Tate handled playing center, given I think in March he said he had never done it before, and how you've seen him grow and develop and add that sort of skill to his back?
Yeah, Tate's done great. He's a really good athlete. You know, he's a tremendous athlete. He can move, do things. Drew Bobo's done really good things there. Jared's been back and practiced in scrimmage Saturday and done some good things. We've been controlling his volume, but he's been out there working and getting some continuity. He has the largest body of work over the last 2 to 3 years at center of anybody. Drew has continued to impress and done a great job, and Tate's gotten a lot of work there, you know, through our OTAs, training camp days, walkthroughs. Tate has had a lot of reps. And he's been right next to the center making all the calls, so the mental part of it's been great, and his snaps have been really good too. So he's just creating value for himself, and that he can play multiple positions now.
Can you give me an update on Xavier McLeod and Smile London, their health, and do you expect them to be able to play against Clemson?
Xavier McLeod has been dealing with a little bit of an injury. He's been pushing through and working through. We're trying to get him back. Don't know when he'll be back. Smile has practiced every practice this camp. He's had some days of higher volume, some days of lower volume, but Smile's been out there doing everything.
Yeah, kind of along that line, Smiley had his charges dismissed, so Kobe had some charges dismissed too. I know you've been dealing with this stuff off the field. Are any of these guys, Trevor as well, looking at any first game suspensions as a result of all of that?
Yeah, we'll deal with all that when it comes time to it.
You've talked a good bit during fall camp about how relatively young these inside linebackers are, even with CJ and Raylan playing some last year. What have you seen as far as the leadership in that room from Smile, being that older guy and helping those guys along?
Well, it was hard for Smile because he wasn't able to do everything last year. He was dealing with a nagging injury, then he had the same thing in the spring. So I feel like he's been a little more assertive now that he's back working, operating at every practice, getting reps, even though his reps might one day be 80% and then another day 40%, and then he goes up and down with the volume. He's been out there, so he's been able to be a leader. CJ Allen's a natural leader who does a really good job, and you don't really see him like a sophomore out there. He plays like he's a little bit older, and Raylan's done a good job. The guy that has really stepped up is Terrell Foster, who's probably been here longer than any of them. I don't know if he's been here longer than Smile, but it sure seems that way. So Terrell's done a great job for us. He is a warrior in terms of competitive toughness, special teams, and makes plays. So that room has no shortage of talent. It may have a shortage of experience, but they rely on each other, and there's several good leaders in there. The freshmen are great leaders. Chris Cole and Justin Williams are going to be tremendous leaders and players in our organization as they get older.
Coach, what for another running back question, for Branson goes, what stood out about the way he attacked his rehab during his injury last year? And as far as Trevor goes, you mentioned last week he's become the leader of the room. I was wondering if you could maybe give an example of how he's going about doing that.
Yeah, Branson is a really hard worker. First of all, he came in with some tendonitis, and so it was really hard for him his freshman year to push and get through. There were times at camp he couldn't even run. He never complained. He's just a tough, mentally and physically kid. He's got great parents. They pushed him. He's a great leader, and from the time of the injury, he never pouted, cried. I mean, he just understood that was part of the game, and it was a significant injury. So for him to come back and not even get to really go through spring full speed, he did some things in the spring, but he didn't get to go full speed. It's been great having him back from a physical toughness standpoint, a reliability standpoint, ball security, third down pickups, special teams. He's just a really good football player. So I love the way he went about doing things. Etienne he's a natural leader. He's been that way since he was even in Florida. He was that way. He's a very confident kid. He leads by example. He gets up there first. He's hard on guys when he needs to be. He speaks up in front of the team, and he's a tremendous asset.
Yeah, Coach, that defensive tackle room seems to be pretty banged up. I'm curious if there have been young names that have flashed in the absence of some of those older guys.
They're working hard. I wouldn't go as far as say flashing. I mean, they're working hard. They're getting better. Jordan Thomas, Jamal Jarrett, Namdi, all those guys, Nas Johnson, the quality of work they've gotten and the amount of work they've gotten has been inordinate based on years past, where a guy like that would not have gone against maybe the 1-0 line much. He would have gone against maybe the 3-0 line. Well, they've been forced to go against 2s, 3s, 1s. They've gotten a lot of work. Nas has, who's been a staple for us. Christian has. Zay McLeod has, and so has Warren Brinson in terms of that. So those guys all getting back and getting back healthy it's provided us an opportunity to build depth with the younger players.
I want to ask you about a couple other young guys, Justin Williams and Joseph Journier. How the two big talented kids out of Texas. What can you tell us about them?
Both working. They're both getting through their first camp, which is not easy here, and I don't set real high expectations like you guys try to do for these kids. I tell them that if they can help and contribute, I want them to, and I think both those guys will help us and contribute this year. To what extent? Maybe based on injury, how many snaps we have to play, what packages we play. Justin's probably going to help on special teams before anything else. Joseph has done a tremendous job. You feel like they're older than that because they went through all spring. And Joseph has asserted himself as a physical presence. He's a good sub rusher. He's really physical on the edge. And he's gotten matched up a lot of times against our older offensive tackles, and he holds his own. So we're looking forward to being able to play those guys.
Yeah, with Christian Miller entering his third year in the program now, where have you seen him improve the most this offseason, and what does he need to continue to show to be, I think, an every down player in that defensive line room?
Yeah, I think he is an every down player in that room. I think he's shown that even last year. We had the luxury of some depth, so we didn't have to play him every down. We got to rotate him and play him, but he's been much more dependable, reliable, available might be the best word, because he's been doing a good job of staying healthy and working. He's had some nagging injuries the last couple of years that he didn't get all the way through camp. So availability sometimes is the best ability, and he's been that.
Kirby, is Gunnar Stockton your backup quarterback, and how does he look this preseason?
You know, we have a group of quarterbacks that have done a great job. I think we've got depth at the quarterback position that we're not used to having in terms of guys that have experience, some guys that are young, some guys that have played like Gunnar and Jaden, and they've done a tremendous job. Gunnar's had two of his better scrimmages and had probably his best scrimmage since being here in the last one. I'm really pleased with where all those guys are.
Speaking of quarterback, what kind of chemistry are you seeing Carson develop with some new faces at receiver and tight end? You know, he had his go-to guys, but what kind of chemistry is progressing through camp and as we get ready to closer to the regular season?
Well, I think that's a work in progress because we don't have a complete full deck out there. And I would venture to say everybody in the country is that way, because you've got, one wide out, maybe a tight end out, maybe a back out. The next thing you know, you don't have everybody out there. You're really trying to develop two things. Is chemistry with your number ones more important than developing your number twos? And at the expense of chemistry, we want to have depth. And we've done a really good job pushing the envelope with London, Michael Jackson, Sokovie, Nitro, Riddell, Colt Heinrich, making sure they're on the same page as Carson. And sometimes when you do that, you might lose a little continuity or rhythm because you don't have your top guys in there. We've got to force guys to get ready to play that are going to have to play throughout the year, and then try to really get that continuity here in the next week or so.
My question there was about Sokovie White, Nitro Tuckle, and what can you tell us about Colt Spear?
I can tell you all three of those guys are really hard workers, very intelligent, extremely athletic. Cole's been a dominant special teams player, and he's going to take on more role this year at receiver on top of being a good special teams player. He's a core product of our system. He came in probably under-recruited, not highly touted. He's gotten better every year. He's really tough. He's really physical. He's really fast. He can dominate on all four phases of special teams, but he's also created a role for himself at wideout. Sokovie and Nitro are still learning. They need to play football. They need to go out there without coaches and have to execute. But they're talented football players, but I don't know that they're 100% reliable right now. We have to get more reliability out of them.
Kirby, what has stood out to you about Janelle in his second year in the program?
Yeah, his ability to process information faster. I mean, everything was really fast on Jonell last year in terms of get the call, get lined up, execute. Get the call, get lined up, execute. That was tough, man. I mean, it was like he's going from a system where he never had so many words. He didn't have to learn things. He had rules he had to get, and he took a lot of lumps last year. He learned from Taki. He got frustrated at times, but it's paid off this year in terms of he understands the defense. We're still challenging him to communicate a little better, meaning verbalize things to people in front and behind you, but he does a really good job with see ball, hit ball, cover people, strike people. He's a good football player.
Yeah, what's Dylan Fairchild's best attribute, and how does he help this offensive line?
Yeah, toughness, character, what he stands for just as a man. Have a lot of respect for Dylan and the way he's gone about his approach. He stood up in front of the team and told his story, and he talked about the years he spent on the scout team and how much it meant to him to to earn what he's gotten here and how hard he's had to work for it. So a lot of respect for him. His greatest attribute is probably his toughness or his power.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned taking a look earlier this week at future opponents. Are there specific matchups you guys are previewing, or what does that process look like over the next couple of days?
We're just looking at future opponents and the things that we don't see from ourselves. So if we don't play a certain coverage, certain front, we're going to look at it and work on it and try to expose our team to it. You got to be careful about you don't get programmed into playing us. We don't play us this year. And same thing on offense. There's teams that do things we don't do offensively that, we just try to explore, and that's probably 10-15% of practice. It's not the majority. It's a small piece, and we continue working on fundamentals.
Peyton Woodring worked through some stuff last year. How valuable is it to have a guy who's kicked for a year, and how's he kicking right now?
He's been great. It's relieving that we don't have that stress of trying to figure out who that is this year. So I feel great about that. We do have good competition going on for kickoff battles, and Peyton's consistent. He's been good fall camp.
Coach, can you give us an update on how Anthony Evans is coming along and maybe other potential return candidates?
Yeah, Anthony's done a good job. He's very consistent back there. He's done it in the game. Jacoby continues to grow and get better. Jacoby has a lot of potential. Other return candidates would be Michael Jackson, who's done it. Malachi Tolliver has done it all through high school. He's done it since been here. ETN does it in terms of kickoff. Dylan Bell, Cole Spear, Cash. We got a lot of guys. Nate Frazier. We've got a lot of guys back there that catch kicks and punts.
Coach, retrospectively, that 2021 matchup with Clemson to open the season was huge and monumental, for the whole year, I guess. But just looking back, all the way back to your career, what can you say about the Georgia-Clemson rivalry? And I'm sure you guys are constantly running into each other on the recruiting trail. You don't play every year, but I'm assuming there's a competition every year with Clemson.
Yeah, I mean, we don't see them on the road recruiting as much as it seems like we used to. I don't know. It's died down some. I mean, there's a lot of overlap. They recruit our state hard. We recruit their state hard. A lot of respect for their players, their teams, their coaches, for what Dabo's built there. I had a good relationship with Brent when he was there, and he's in our league now. They've been one of the premier teams in college football in terms of the last 10 years, you could say. I mean, it's probably longer than that, but they've done a tremendous job. So we do see them on the road, some recruiting, but I think the matchup is more about our fans. Just getting that caliber of a matchup to start the season is important. But we got issues on our hands today we're trying to deal with over the game.
Time for one more question.
I want to ask you about your three redshirt freshman defensive backs, Rhett, Peel, and Jones. What have you seen from them in year two for those guys?
Yeah, growth. Rhett has gotten better with each and every practice. He continues to improve. He's gotten better this camp from spring. Peel has been dealing with a shoulder surgery that he missed some time at the end of spring, and so he was not cleared for the start of camp. He's just now getting cleared. Asked him today. He's been practicing. He just hadn't been completely cleared to do full contact, so he'll get to do some of that. And then Kyron has had a good camp. He's really fast. He's really physical. He was a running back in high school that had really never played DB. So we told him it's going to take a while. It's not overnight. You just snap your fingers. And he's starting to show up more on special teams as a really competitive and dominant player. He's still working at DB to grow and get better, because it's not something that you just click your heels together and get it right.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach.